Hey everyone, RogueGold here. Welcome back to The Division 2, and today we need to check out some of the game's recently released Descent comms. Now, I've said this a million times before, you all probably know, but in case not, every week the game's Descent mode will release a new lore comm that you can collect by completing the weekly project, which is taking out the Nemesis, and these tend to be some pretty juicy things. Now, normally I will wait until the entire season is completed, and then I will recap all 17-ish comms that we usually get in one video, and I still will certainly do that for this season, but sometimes if something is revelatory enough, I will do like a mid-season breakdown. I've already done this a few times this season because there's just been some gold nuggets in here, and today is no different. We just got a comm that single-handedly ties together the Division 1, the Division 2, and the Division Heartland, and it brings back a storyline and characters that I never thought we would hear from again. So we have got to talk about this because I'm dying to hear some of y'all's thoughts on it, so let's just get right to it. If you haven't already, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see further Division content like this, and let's dive in. Right at the top here, I want to give you your one and only spoiler warning. If you have not caught up on the Descent comms, you don't want to know what happens within them, whatever the case may be, we are going to be discussing spoilers from here on out. Alright, so unlike past seasons, the Descent comms this time around seem to be following a bit of a different pattern. You know, previously they would just release in what seemed to be a pretty scattered order. You would have to try and piece together what happens after what sort of time period and timeline this stuff was all occurring in. This time around, they seem to be following a few different arcs, but chronologically with each week's release. Once you're on a storyline, you will get the beginning to end of that in one go. Leading up until now, we had one starting out with Keener and Melanie Hoskins, which is pretty cool. I made a whole video on that. Kevin Park and Trig Schneider, which we'll talk about more in a moment. But for the last 2 weeks now, we've shifted focus to Calvin McManus, and I'm telling you guys, this is getting good. So take a listen to this first one, and then we'll properly set up the second.
Call me Cal. Time to come out of hibernation, Agent. There's work to do. Drop whatever you're doing right now. Just walk out. I need you to gather a team. Take whoever you think you'll need and go to immediately. Infiltrate the town and set up a forward operating base. You'll receive further instructions once you get to...
Alright, so the first thing to note here is that the redacted location that they're talking about here is Silver Creek, which is the town that the Division Heartland was set to be located in. How do I know this? Well, I pretty thoroughly cover it in this video that I made a little while back. I will link it down below and in the upper corner. Highly suggest you check it out if you want more info there. Also, since making that, it's even been further confirmed by the fact that we had Kevin Park featured in some of the comms talking about his Link technology. That is a character, and Link was a concept that was all pitched to be a part of the Division Heartland. And so all of this is to say that assumedly the redacted status of the town in these comms is because of the game's cancellation. At the time they made these, the Division Heartland was still going to come out. It still had its whole own story pitched, which, yeah, obviously that sucks, but we can still appreciate what's here, and we'll see if it means anything moving forward. But anyways, getting back to the comm, the description of this agent is identified as a hunter. You can read this on the right side while the comm is playing. And Cal is activating this agent, seemingly making them a hunter immediately, and sending them straight to Silver Creek. So this first one was pretty interesting, but it didn't really give us a sense of a timeline or an urgency or a direct purpose, but this next one delivers all of that in spades. Take a listen.
What do you mean the agents are unwilling? You tell this noble squad they don't need to stay in New York to honor their fallen soldiers. Remember, you cannot tell anyone these orders come from me. We need to keep this one close to the vest. You're the only person on the planet who knows about my involvement in this mission. I'm not ready to let this particular cat out of the bag.
Okay, a lot to touch on there. Firstly, Cal mentions Noble Squad. This is a call out and return that I was simply not expecting. For those who don't know, Noble Squad was a very notable agent cell back within the lore of the Division 1. The kind of TLDR version was that they were a squad of first wave agents that was deployed to Manhattan pretty early on in the outbreak and the chaos. They got mixed in with some of the first escapees of the Rikers Island convicts, and they were unfortunately all eliminated. That might all not sound too significant off the bat, but this squad really did leave a lasting impression both on the fanbase and the lore overall. They even got their own dedicated apparel event in the Division 2. And if you're interested, I covered the entire lore and story with Noble Squad in my Division Iceberg video that I released about 6 months back, and so I will leave a timestamped link for their section of the video specifically in the description down below, in case you want to learn more about their entire history. But by Cal mentioning Noble Squad within this comm, it ties together all 3 of the games. Obviously, Noble Squad's lore and story was all within the Division 1. Even though he's been around, we only know of Calvin McManus because of the Division 2. And the entire premise of this comm is sending these agents to Silver Creek, which was of course going to be a part of the Division Heartland. So again, even though it sucks that Heartland has been cancelled, it is pretty cool that this comm ties all of that together. Courtesy of the second comm, this also confirms that all of this was happening right as the outbreak began, right? Because Noble Squad did not make it that long into deployment, and so if Cal is referencing that they've been asked to go on this mission and they're declining, that means they're still alive. That means that this is happening back at the start of the Division lore. But I think what's really interesting that this confirms is that Cal knows there's something in Silver Creek of great importance. I mean, with everything else going on in the country and world at that time, he's singling out this agent, activating them as a hunter, and telling them to gather a team to go to Silver Creek. And it's also very interesting how he underscores that his involvement in this mission can't be known, at least yet. Now, here's where this all ties back in. We know from the first Descent comms of this season that Aaron Keener sends Melanie Hoskins, who, that was another whole thing, I'll leave a link to that video down below as well. He sends her to Silver Creek seemingly after this point, and from what we saw so far in that storyline, she encountered no resistance. So we're in a bit of a situation here where the timelines need to converge so we can see what happened when they all got to Silver Creek. But really, to me, this sets up a huge question and mystery as to what they're after, right? If both Cal and Keener know that there's something valuable here, why are they sending people in? And more specifically for this storyline we're following, what happens to this hunter and whatever team they were maybe able to get together when they arrive in Silver Creek, if they were not there when Hoskins gets there later on? Two little bits of speculation and thought that I'll give you all before sending you off. In the Division Universe Timeline video that Ubisoft partnered with NGN to put out at Division Day 2023, in that video they mentioned that there was a seed storage complex within Silver Creek that a cell of agents were sent to protect right as the outbreak began. Now that doesn't sound quite identical to what we're talking about here because from what we know there wasn't any agents guarding this, although maybe we'll learn that, but it sounds quite familiar, right? If they're being sent to some sort of complex, some sort of secret bunker right as the outbreak began, so maybe we'll hear more about that. Other thing I'm certainly curious about, why aren't we hearing this hunter's side of the dialogue in these comms with Cal? Could it perhaps be a new named character to replace the recruiter, since we don't really have that in with the hunter organization anymore in terms of seeing more from them? Is it possible that it's someone we already know? I mean, this is a big storyline setup after Year 5 Season 2 with Manny saying how many people within the division are secretly hunters. And perhaps most importantly, this is all happening far in the past. From where we are in the Division 2's current timeline, this would have been about 10 months ago. So what has occurred since then? Is this hunter still alive? Did they complete their mission in Silver Creek? I don't know, folks, but I plan to keep my eye on this storyline. I had to cover what we had so far here. I thought it was too interesting, but if I need to do another update even before the end of the season where I will recap all of the comms, I certainly will. But for now, that's all I've got, and I cannot wait to hear your guys' reactions and thoughts to these comms down in the comments below. What do you think about everything we went over? What's your prediction about what is in Silver Creek? Why do Cal and Keener want whatever is there so bad? Who do you think this hunter might be? Do you think that Hoskins is going to run into them later on? So many angles to this, and I would love to read through whatever you guys are thinking. But that is going to do it for me today, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. RogueGold, out.